Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Facebook. As you know, I'm back, Kristen Nicole Mann, and I am back with another topic tonight. As you always know, I have to make sure that I'm live. Um, and we are. So make sure I share it to my platforms because I'm not going to be on long, but I wanted to talk about this because um, it's important and it's not going to be what you think it is because what I'm not telling you to do is to quit your job irresponsibly. Um, but I am going to give you 5 reasons to quit your job that you may not like or may have these things. So we're going to get started. If you would like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kristen Nicole Mann, you see it scrolling at the bottom. You can do that. I have all my other past videos on my YouTube channel as well. Yesterday, I talked about journaling and scriptures of how we're supposed to actually journal. So I really enjoyed giving you all that because we are in a time of the year where it's pretty much nothing to do. Football is about to be over. That January to March time frame is always iffy. So you have some time to put to the side for journaling. But let's get started. So number one reason on why to quit your job this year. There's always better compensation for your skills. And of course, I have my notes and I didn't put it in my phone. So I'm trying to see how I can type it to be on the screen. But there's always better compensation for your skills. Be intentional about finding that though. You know, we always want better pay. We always want, companies to pay us more. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you always want to get paid more as a contractor. But at the same time, you have to be intentional about where you're going and plan accordingly to where your life is in the current moment. So if you need more money, um, and you want something to fit your lifestyle, you have to be intentional about finding that. You're not going to always um, immediately find this. So that's why I said be intentional about um, what you are trying to find. And I'm trying to put this in the comments so y'all can have this. So that way it can be on here. So yeah, that's number one. There's always better compensation for your skills or skill set, and then be intentional about what you're looking for. Um, and then talk to people about what you're looking for too. If you have friends that work in a certain field that you want to get into, or if you know someone that is like a recruiter, talk to them about what you want because they can give you some insight before you just jump out here and, be reckless and quit. Number two, there is lack of opportunities to grow within the company or organization. So that's number two of reason why you should quit your job in 2024. If you don't see opportunities to grow within the company you work in and you are a person to look to the future of how you can grow in where you're working, um, if there's nothing, then you might want to consider number one, intentionally looking for what you want. Growing within a company now looks totally different pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, there was a lot of other opportunities that just might not be in place right now. So this is not to say some companies can't afford giving opportunities. They honestly don't know the future outlook of what they're going to do. So you might approach them with a raise or you wanting to, grow and say, is any other positions open for my skill set that has grown since I came to the company? And if they say no, they might give you a reason on why. So it's not to go in there disgruntled with the leadership, but it's always companies that offer other opportunities that you might just have to transition to. And like I said, this is not tonight to tell anybody to jump and do anything carelessly or recklessly. But there's a lot of people not happy with their jobs. So I'm just giving you some insight on what I know. Number three, poor work culture. Number three, poor work culture. So if you are at a job with poor work culture, what does that look like? Well, that looks like high turnover. There's always people quitting. They don't stay there long. I used to work in a job like this too. Like people would come in and out. There was like, a low amount of money they were making, and then they would just come there for the time being, and then they would leave. That's a poor work culture. If you have no work life balance, say you work this job and you're not able to take off to take your kids to the doctor or yourself to the doctor, say you're exhausted because this job is consuming your life, it's time to quit and find another one. Especially if you have grown and changed as a person. If you're not 19 anymore and you're like maybe going on 40, you're not going to have the same wants and needs when you first started working. So poor work culture is important to assess. And you can actually look on websites like Glassdoor or some other websites to see like reviews of the company's culture and leadership. And sometimes, people will be rude and mean, but sometimes there are thorough reviews of these companies. So you want to look that up and make sure if you are seeking a position in this company, you know what you're getting into. Okay. So number four is, I'm trying to type this, what I got written down. Now, this one people skip all the time. I don't think they realize that they do, but they always skip this one. And number four is, the reason why you need to quit your job is the mission and values don't align with yours. Wherever you're working, there could be a mission that they have, and then they have values in their company, like book or pamphlet or whatever they call it, and say it doesn't align with what you live your life like. Now, are you going to compromise and work this job, or are you going to, see if there's other opportunities for you? 9 times out of 10, when you compromise your mission and values that don't align with your personal ones to work in a job, you're going to deal with a lot of just clash, like friction. You're not going to ever be 100% happy. There's times where I worked contracted and stuff where my values and missions didn't line up, and that's what it was. It was very difficult to work in an environment like that. And so in this year, if you are setting out to protect your peace, all these quotes and sayings we're seeing around, you want to pay attention to if the company that you are choosing to work for aligns with your mission and values. If it doesn't, there's a plethora of jobs. There's a plethora of companies that you can contract with if you're an entrepreneur. But if you're in corporate life, there's a bunch of jobs. And I'm going to give you another bonus that kind of goes along with that. But number 5, we're going to move on to um, reasons why you should quit your job. You have a lack of motivation. Okay, so this one, really got to break this one down, because every day you're not going to be happy about going to your job, whether you love it or not. Some days you're not going to have motivation. But if you have a consistent pattern of not being motivated with what you do in your job, you have to, again, assess that. You have to look and pay attention to the lack of motivation on a consistent basis. So let's say you weren't motivated one day, and then that spills over to like 2-3 weeks, you're not motivated. There's something wrong, and you have to look within and say, is this job for me at this time in my life? Am I doing too much? Like, am I forcing myself to stay somewhere that is just not anymore? Like, this is not the season I'm supposed to be there. So burnout is a big thing when it comes to lack of motivation. So on the flip side, this job can work you to the point where you have burnout, and then you have exhaustion, like severe exhaustion. So lack of motivation can come from not having burnout or not having exhaustion. You might have just expanded beyond the position that you're in. Now, on the flip side, though, if this job has driven you to burnout, or has driven you to exhaustion, like severe exhaustion, which meaning you have no energy to do anything when you get off, and this is a consistent pattern, you might want to look into quitting that job. Especially if you're trying to keep yourself healthy, you're trying to keep yourself like clear-headed, you might want to consider moving on. Like I told y'all, this is not going to be what you think, because I am known for championing to have a side hustle, a entrepreneurial something, but everybody is not built for that. We're all supposed to have it, but everyone is not there yet. But I have had the opportunity to have jobs. So it's not that I was always an entrepreneur or always, in this position. But I know that some of the places that I worked at was very unhealthy, very unhealthy. And then the fruit of that was all these things. And then there's a ton more, but I'm not going to go over those tonight. But the last bonus that I'm going to give you all is something that could scare you depending on who you are. But I'm going to. Okay. The last bonus is you may have to relocate depending on where you live. If you are looking for a better job, a better opportunity, you may have to relocate. Now, this even scares me, but it's real. Sometimes we come across these opportunities, even myself, where I have to travel outside of the area that I'm in, because let's be honest, some of these cities, towns, villages, wherever you live, some of them are not geared towards success. There's a lot of rural areas that are not geared towards having success. So when you live in rural areas, just like where I live, there's somewhere back at home in Virginia where I live where you're like too far from, you know, good opportunities. And some people have to drive 2-3 hours where I'm from to get to a job. You might have to relocate. You just might have to relocate. You might have to take that leap of faith and go get a better opportunity, because everybody doesn't have the privilege to live in a city of like Houston, Atlanta. You know, I know a lot of people are leaving New York City because there's not a lot of opportunities. A lot of companies have left. So you have to, depending on what you do, what industry you're in, you might have to relocate, and that might just work better for you, depending on where you're going. So that's a bonus of quitting your job. But I honestly see too many young people that's my age. We're like way too stressed out. We are way like too unhealthy to be having these problems at our age. Like we should not be already going into the hospital a million times. We should not be in those positions. And I think most of it comes from us settling and staying in these jobs that we think we could save. We cannot save these companies. We cannot be the savior. Sometimes we have to remove ourselves. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but I want you to quit your job. If if you nobody else tells you, if you've had all these effects that I just went over, and look into it further, y'all. Lack of opportunities, poor work culture, mission and values don't align with yours, lack of motivation, and then you may have to relocate. All those things. And then you might have to start a business. It just might be time for you to start a business. It might be time for you to get out of a actual 9 to 5. I'm just, encouraging you tonight. Um, oh yeah, agreed. Yes, yes. Okay, I don't know who this this is. But yeah, you just might have to relocate. But there's a whole movement that's been happening since um the pandemic, where people have just awakened, like they woke up um to what they've been going through. And, sometimes when people hear about people quitting their jobs, they're very judgmental and they're like, oh, they just want to do nothing. No, it doesn't mean that. But a lot of these companies have been treating people like crap, like, and been getting away with it. And they haven't been paying. And they expect you to put up with a toxic work culture. All these things matter, especially if you're building families, you're getting married, you want to have more kids in the future. Just some of this stuff is not going to work according to how you want to plan your life out. And that's the main thing, is like planning what you want your future to look like. It doesn't have to be a perfect plan, but if you put down, like yesterday, I told y'all, write the vision, make it plain. If you put down some things and then you're working at this job and none of those things align with where you want to go in the future, it's okay to let go. It's okay to have an exit plan. Having an exit plan is important, but you have to make time for that. You have to make time for that. Um, yes, I had to. We are in a new era, new season, great awakening. Yes, we are in a great awakening. And it's important for you to not be in fear about it. And I know a lot of people are going to see this title and they're going to think, oh, there she goes again. She's telling people to be a rebel. No, I'm not telling you to be a rebel. I'm telling you to take care of yourself and really think about your skill set. You can always carry what you have learned from a job to another position in another company. It is all right. It's not going to be the end of the world. But you can always, there's always opportunities. Like that's the mindset that you have to have. Not just in a job, but or not just in entrepreneurship, but also if you want to get a job, a position. The mindset always is there's always better, there's always opportunities. And if you keep that mindset, you'll be able to land whatever you put your mind to, your heart, mind, and soul to. Um, my mom said we need to wake up. Yeah, a lot of people need to wake up. Um, I have woken up, and every day I wake up a little bit more. And it's just gradually. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. No, because when you do, you really set yourself up. When you put all your eggs in one basket and you depend on one thing, you really set yourself up to fail because times are changing always. There's always new creations. If you pay attention to the tech world, like AI, obviously we have AI now, but they have gone just advanced to you even having a position to work AI. Like people have been like, oh, AI is taking all the jobs. Learn what AI is and work for it. Like we have to change our mind to like make things work for us. Like we're not in a peasant mentality. Like, let's not be in the, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get anything else if this job lays me off or if this job fires me. No, you have to be in a mindset of, no, I have skills. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. So, where can my lane be? Whether you have a job or whether you're an entrepreneur, there's always opportunities. Yeah, and you have to know that you are valuable. That's another reason why people quit their job because they don't feel valued. And a lot of people have woken up to that. Like, is this job really like seeing my worth or my value? It's not to be emotional about it, but I'm putting in a lot of work. I'm working overtime. I'm taking it's taking time away from my kids. It's taking time away from my spouse. It's taking time away from me even getting a spouse. Some of this stuff you have to work. You have to look at. Um, but yeah, one of those was people quit their job because they're not valued. And nobody likes to feel like that. Everybody likes to feel valued at some point. But that's all that I could go all I mean, these could be like 15 steps, but I just try to shrink it because I know people's attention span. But definitely follow my YouTube channel. And tomorrow, I'm going to, Lord willing, I'm going to talk about something else that people like to live by that's actually a facade. Um, but yes, that's it for now, but I am going to keep this up on Facebook and then I'm going to put this on YouTube. We've had a wonderful week of guests and other videos. And yesterday I talked about journaling. Go check that out if you have not. Um, but again, don't quit your job recklessly or irresponsibly. Like, don't do that. Don't say Kristen told me to quit my job. I have nothing. And some people, I mean, I've, quit things in the past and I didn't have nothing lined up. But everybody's not built like me. Everybody's not gonna be in the grit, like me. But um definitely put a plan in place and take some time to figure out where you're at right now, because if you started a job 8 years ago, 7 years ago, you're not the same person. You might be doing the same thing at that job, but you personally, you're not the same person. So you want to think about who you are now and where you want to go, and then write those things out, and then proceed with filling out applications, or trying to, if you're an entrepreneur, sorting out other opportunities that you can give to yourself through working with, certain people, or coming up with new things to put yourself in a different position. Um, and then you'll be fine. But again, this is a process, this is not overnight. Um, Definitely have an exit plan. And I'm going to keep repeating that because I don't want nobody coming back to me saying I quit my job. But there, in the past, people have quit their job because I've had conversations with them, and it was enlightening to for them to recognize that they were better than what they've put themselves in. Sometimes we put ourselves in these jobs and we just say okay, and we look at the money aspect, and then the money, you find out the money is not really what you think it's going to be, because of taxes, and health insurance is ridiculous right now. So they're taking all that out. So don't let the money part be your main reason of going to positions. I know that's a big factor, but at the same time, if you go to a company that can't pay you, or can't give you the position that you want, but there's opportunity for growth later, or quickly, rather quickly, take that position and overwork your role and then move on to the next. But only do that if that company is a promising a growth factor. Like, don't go somewhere that they didn't tell you that and think that they're going to just give you this out. So I'm just saying, because people assume all the time, and the word that begins with assume, that's what you will make yourself out to be. So don't assume a company is supposed to, or be entitled that a company is supposed to just give what you want, or just create positions for you. Make sure you're having those talks with the company before you take the job. Don't assume or be entitled and say they're just supposed to do what I'm supposed to, what I tell them. They're supposed to just create this position. They don't have to create nothing for you. They're their own company. They could go and hire somebody else. So again, mindset work has to be done before you can just quit your job. But the reasons I gave you are also mindset work or shifts that you have to make. You can't just go places entitled. That's not a good, that's not a good, yep, freedom. Yes. Now, with industries that you're in is different, because some industries you can't cuz I'm like an entrepreneur. I don't do well with, you know, the 9 to 5 no more. But as I was growing as an adult, I had to work jobs. But those jobs were always aligned with who I was or what my gifting was or what my talents were. So, oh, thank you. They were always aligned with who I was. So that was important. I actually enjoyed the jobs that I had. So I wasn't necessarily in a position of misery, but I have experienced poor work culture. I have experienced where managers were not managers. They were never meant to be managers, but they made your job very difficult. I've experienced, managers that were great. I've experienced coworkers that were horrible, but the company was great. So why not stay? All these things matter. So I'm not saying you need to be an entrepreneur, but even with being an entrepreneur, you may have to quit things. You may have to quit something that you're doing and go on to the next. And that's even harder when you don't have a manager, you don't have a boss. Like, obviously I have a boss, that's God. But when you don't have a physical person saying you're fired, you're hired, you're HR, you're you're the media person, that's harder to move on to something else. So yeah, sit down, make some time, figure out what you want your year to look like and what you want the other years ahead to look like, because we are so short minded in these times. Like, we don't want to think about the future. I want to live for today. That doesn't work, y'all. In the real life, living for today doesn't work. Like, if you want to be wealthy, these people plan for 20, 30, 40 years out. They don't plan, oh, I'm going to do this tomorrow. They plan for 20, 30, 40 years out. And then they have people that surrounded around them that plan for that amount of time. So that also counts. Like I said, talk to people. If you know a recruiter, if you know someone in a specific industry, someone that is at a company that you may want to work for, talk to them, have conversation, but be responsible in this. Don't just quit. I know y'all want to quit, but plan it out. Because I've quit with no plan. It is not fun. It is a lot of work you have to put in without that paycheck. Yep, without the paycheck. But I'm going to get off. But I hope this was helpful or insightful. And I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel has been, I got some subscribers. I've been getting subscribers this whole week. So yeah, if you have a book or anything that you, why is my mom like this? If you have a book or anything that you want to discuss on my podcast, my No or Never, aka Now or Never, I discuss about what's going on now, what's happening currently, and I also reveal what's hidden. There's been a theme on my podcast, so I'm thankful for the guests that I've been having on. It's been great conversations. I'm telling you, go back and watch those. You can follow me on TikTok, Kristen Nicole Mann, Instagram, Kristen Nicole Mann, my website, Kristen Nicole Mann. All of it is that. And I just, try to give people what they need. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good night. Bye.